Ladies and gentlemen, dear international business partners, welcome all of you to this webinar. Our topic today is about tips for working from home, today about collaboration with ELO. Just quickly, before I hand over to my colleague, I give you some short important piece of information. As usual, we have muted all of you. But of course, you can always ask questions by entering them in the question area in your GoToWebinar control panel, and my colleague will of course answer your questions at the end of the presentation. So that's now basically all from my part, and I think we can start with the session. And so I hand over to my colleague Edgar Grasel. Welcome, Edgar, and it's your turn.
Thank you. Good morning from Austria. My name is Edgar Grasel. I work for ELO Digital Office in Austria. And in this week's webinar of our series Tips for Working from Home, I will show you how we collaborate with ELO. So one moment. Last week I talked about that we in Austria, we don't usually only go yodeling in the mountains. We have to go to work as well. And when we usually go to work, we go to our office where we have our own workspace, where we have our resources, where we have our systems which we can access, and where we can talk to our colleagues. We can do meetings and so on. But around 3 weeks ago, something changed because we were forced to do work from our home office. Government said, please work. No, they didn't say please. They said, work from your home office. And so we had to face some challenges because now we are not sitting in one place. We are sitting at home and do the work from there. And when you work in your home office, there are some things you have to do. The first thing you have to do is you have to set up a proper workspace where you can do your work, where you don't get disturbed every 5 minutes or so, and where it's quiet so that you can concentrate. The next thing that has to be done is you have to be able to access your resources, your systems, your ERP system or CRM or something. So we managed it by using our existing VPN connection. We connect via VPN to our internal IT systems, and it works. Next thing, you have to enable the employees at home to communicate with each other. In Austria, we are 10 people who work for ELO, and 7 out of these 10 have mobile phones. So that was not the problem. They have mobile phones, they can communicate, but 3 of them don't. So we had to find a solution how we can talk to them, how we can call them even when they're sitting at home. And we found the solution by using Microsoft Teams. And with Microsoft Teams, we can talk to each other, but we also have a group chat where we can share some information or ask questions to our colleagues. And we can make meetings with Microsoft Teams. One very important point is that you have to enable the employees at home to store the files in a central place. Because when you don't, they get creative. They start to send files via email. When the files get too big, they use their own personal Dropbox or Google Drive or OneDrive accounts and share it with the colleagues over those cloud stores. So the problem with this, maybe it works for the people, but the first problem is nobody has the same level of information. And the second point is in 3 months, when you say, "Ooh, where's the PowerPoint presentation of the webinar 3 months ago?" Then you have to start some sort of searching. You start in your email account or in your email inbox and search there for it. When you don't find it there, then you think maybe it's in my Dropbox account, or did it save to Google Drive? Don't know. So you have to set up a central store where the people can share the information with each other. We store our files in our own ELO, and so we make sure that everybody has the same level of information and that it stays traceable. If we can find our files in 3 months, and we can see who did what, when, with the file, with the information, and so on. So those important points we could, or let's say it in another way, we met those challenges. We can work from home. We have our own workspace. We can communicate, and we can store our files in a central place. But the next thing that we had to face was time. Because when everybody sits in his home office, they are in some sort of different time zones. Because there are influences that you don't have in your office. When you sit in your office, a typical day could look like this. You start at 8 with a meeting. The topic is the webinars for the next 3 weeks. After that, at 11, you make a project review. Then you go to lunch. After lunch, you start planning for the next 2 weeks. Then you have a meeting for scheduling the dates for the webinars. And then at 3, you make your incoming invoices. That's a typical day in the office. You start at 8, you end at 5 in the evening, and then you go home. Then you're finished. But as I said, when you're in your home office, there are some influences that you don't have when you're in the office. Because the meeting for the webinars is now a Teams meeting, that's no problem. But after that, you have to do different stuff. Maybe you have children, they're at home as well, because in Austria, schools are closed, I think, since 3 weeks. So they have to do homework, and you have to help them, or you can't go to lunch because restaurants are closed. So you have to start cooking. As I said, many influences that you don't have in your office. So you have a break, and you start working again at 2 p.m. where you have the telephone call in this case for scheduling the dates for the next webinars. Then there's a second break for doing some other stuff, and you start working with, or you start doing those things that are not so important, that don't have to be done during the day, in the evening. So you start with your invoices at 4 p.m. and then you make your project review, and the planning for the next 2 weeks is at 7. So what we can see here, the working hours are spread over a longer period. But the good thing is you're not alone, because your colleagues have those challenges as well. They have in their home office the same or other influences that spread their working hours during the day. So when we look at this, the only thing that all three to do together is the Teams meeting in the morning for the webinars. They talk about which topics they should plan. Then they have to make concepts, they have to make PowerPoint presentations, and so on. And everybody knows what to do. The telephone call for scheduling the dates for the next webinars is only from Gerd Baum to Sandra Renz. And then Verona Funk and Sandra Renz talk about the concept, and the rest of the day is filled up with other stuff that everybody has to do. But how can we make sure that everybody has in every moment the same level of information and everybody knows what to do? I give you an example. In a normal way, the three of them working on the webinars, and Verona Funk has the task to make a concept for the next webinar or to write the post or something, and she makes it, and when she's finished, she will send it to her colleagues. Gerd Baum sends the Excel file with the participants from the last webinar to Sandra Renz, but not to Verona, because she doesn't need it. In the meantime, Sandra Renz makes a review of the concept and says something has to be changed, changes it, and sends it back via email to Verona, but forgets Gerd. Gerd Baum doesn't have the new version of the concept, and he doesn't know that there is one. Verona Funk makes the PowerPoint presentation for the next webinar. Gerd Baum changes something and sends it back to Verona Funk. And what we can see here, we have only 3 files, but nobody has the big picture, because they are here in 2 different versions, and Verona Funk doesn't have the participant list and so on. So that it's not possible that one of them has the whole picture of the webinars in the next 3 weeks. And I will show you how we make sure that they have. Well, as I sit in my home office and my colleagues do it as well, I have to do 3 people now. I'll start with Verona Funk. Verona Funk works with the ELO desktop client, because she's working most of the time with Microsoft Office, and she loves it how she can store files easily to ELO with the desktop client. And when she starts in the morning, she will have a look at the My ELO section in the desktop client, clicks in here, and there she sees what has changed in the since yesterday. So yesterday she made the PowerPoint presentation for part 2 of the webinars, and she asked her colleague Sandra Renz that she should review it and send it for approval to Gerd Baum. Gerd Baum asked Verona Funk that she should add the post for this week. Verona Funk said, yes, we're working on it, and when it's finished, then we will save it here. So the Sandra Renz and Verona Funk worked on the concept for the next webinars, and Verona Funk, she's really quick in typing, as you can see. When she's finished, she saves it to her ELO via her desktop client. And no, that's the wrong section. We have to save it here, and it's here in post. And here she stores it, and then she gives a name for the new post, and saves it direct to her ELO. Part 2, improved collaboration. So, and when she's finished, she wants to tell Sandra Renz, her colleague, that she should review the post for this week. So she writes a new post in the feed and tells Sandra Renz to review. Here is the new post. Please review. As we saw in the PowerPoint presentation, they made a Teams meeting in the morning, and they asked Verona that she should find new topics for the next webinars. So first thing that she thought was, maybe I should send an email to my colleagues, to my 27 colleagues in the whole company, and ask them to, do you have some ideas for the next webinars? Which topics should we choose? Then she would have sent 27 emails and got 12 answers or something, and had to look which topics are interesting and which are not. But then they said, no, we can make it in another way, because we can start a survey with our ELO. So she went to the repository and the wrong place. And she started a and she started a survey by choosing a folder, or you can choose a file as well. And in the feed section of this object, you can start a survey by clicking here. And here you can ask a question, which topics should we choose? And then you can send it to a user or a group. I send it to the group management. Here it is. And then you can suggest some topics. Knowledge management, analytics, and one more, self-service for employees. Then you have to say how long. Let's say 1 week, it's enough. And then you create the survey. The survey, everybody in the group management can answer the survey and gets it in his My ELO section, where they can choose the right answer. So Verona Funk added a new post. Verona Funk added a post in the feed, and she started a survey. So I think she's finished now, yes. Sandra Renz, her colleague, who was asked to review the new post, starts her ELO Rich client. And we have to reload this one because we're too fast. And when she starts her client, then the first thing that she sees is that Verona Funk has added the post for the next webinar. And when she clicks here, she finds the document, and then she can check it out and edit it. And she says, no, this point we don't need, and make some changes in the headings. And then she saves it and checks it in. Check it in. So she makes a new version out of this. And when Verona Funk looks in her My ELO section the next time, then she will see that Sandra Renz has created a new version out of this. The next thing that Sandra Renz has to do is to review the PowerPoint presentation for the next webinar and to send it for approval to Gerd Baum. So she reviews the PowerPoint presentation and says, oh, well, yes, it's okay. It's a really good PowerPoint presentation. Who made this one? I think it was Edgar. And when she wants to send it to Gerd Baum for approval, she doesn't write something here in the feed section. She sends it to him via a workflow. So she chooses the task section here, and then she starts an ad hoc workflow, which you choose when you want to send a document for approval or for information to your colleagues only once. So this is a PowerPoint presentation. We don't have here some templates or something. So she can now choose between send an approval or send a notification. She wants to send an approval. And since we only use one user here, oops, I am too fast in writing. It doesn't matter if she makes a serial approval or a parallel approval, because when only one is in there, it's not necessary to choose this. So Gerd Baum will get a task in his task section, which we see later, but he is asked to end the task in 3 days or so, because the next webinar is on Tuesday, I think, and he has to approve the PowerPoint presentation before the webinar starts. So we say you have 2 days for this approval. And then it's on the way. And when you started the workflow, or everybody who has access for this file can see with this little symbol here that there is a workflow running, or there was a workflow running. And when you click here, you can see how the workflow looks. You see Sandra Renz started the workflow and today at 9:22. Yes, that's right, and sent it to Gerd Baum for approval. He didn't approve it because he comes later. So the PowerPoint was sent to Gerd Baum, and Sandra Renz answers the question, have reviewed, sent it to Gerd for approval. So that Verona sees in her My ELO section that this has happened now. That was Sandra's part. The last thing that we have to do is we have to look at Gerd Baum. So now I am Gerd Baum, and he uses the ELO web client because he loves it. It's light, it's fast, and he's used to work with it. The first thing when he logs into his account is that Verona Funk started a survey about the topics for the next webinars, and she said, okay, let's answer it. The next topic I want to see is self-service for employees, and he submits his vote. And now he sees that he's the first one who has sent an answer, and that self-service for employees is his favorite. He has to store the list with the participants in his ELO. So he starts to look for the right place, tips for working from home. There he makes a new folder. with he's not too fast in writing. where he can save his participant list, and now I have to use the list. Choose that list. Oh. Where's my list? My list is here. So it's TN list now. Participants. The last webinar was on 27th, I think. So he gives a short name and he saves it to ELO. And when he wants to make sure that everybody of his colleagues, so in this case Sandra Renz and Verona Funk, can see that he has saved the participant list in ELO, he creates a post with his colleagues, Sandra Renz and Verona Funk. Where is she? Here is she. Here is the participant list from the last webinar. No, Gerd Baum is not really good in writing. So with this, he makes sure that his colleagues can see that he has saved the participant list, and then they can access it directly via their My ELO account. The last thing that he has to do is he has to look in his task section, and Gerd Baum has configured his ELO in this way that he gets a email notification when he gets a new task in his task section. So he finds it really useful, because so he can access or he gets the information even when he's only on his mobile phone. Then he gets an email, and the email says, hey, you have a new task in your task section. Then he goes there and can finish the task even on the mobile phone. But now he's in his web client, but he knows, thanks to the notification, that he has a task inside his tasks section. You can access it here, or you can access it here as well. And there he sees that's not only one task, that's 3 tasks, because that's the approval for the PowerPoint presentation. He reviews it and he says, yeah, okay, it's nice. Yes, Edgar made it. It has to be nice. And so he can finish his task by pass it forward, and he says approve. He can leave a comment. Nice presentation. So he has approved the PowerPoint presentation. The next step which happens is that Sandra Renz, which started this workflow, gets a task with the information that Gerd Baum has approved the PowerPoint presentation. The next 2 tasks, one is a birthday. Oh, it's my own birthday. Gerd Baum gets an information that he has birthday. That's nice. When you have to work many time or a long time, you can forget your own birthday. So he gets birthday information from every employee. And the next thing that he has to do is a formal check and a manual capture for a incoming invoice that he got from the administrator in this case. And this is a different sort of workflow, because this is a workflow which comes from our business solution ELO invoice, which comes with our business solution ELO invoice. It's a workflow template where you can where you can map an internal and where you can map an internal process. So, and in this case, there's a form which you can access here, and then you see there it is possible to fill in the information. So that's the fourth possibility to make collaboration better. So when we look at it, we have found, or we use for a better collaboration 4 parts of ELO. We do posts in ELO feed for notes, for comments and questions. So as we saw, we can ask a colleague to review a document, or we can inform others that I have uploaded a new Excel file or something, just for information for my colleagues. You can make a survey as well to get some opinions. Is it shall we proceed with the webinar series, or which topics should we choose, and so on, as we saw. So you can get opinions. You can ask everybody in the company with a survey, and you get an answer, I think. With the ad hoc workflow, you make a quick approval or send a quick information to your colleagues. So this you use when you have some documents that you have to approve once or twice. It's not, you can approve for example, information to your partners, or a PowerPoint presentation or something, and you see in 3 months or 6 months or 2 years who has approved this document. The last thing, which we can use for better collaboration, is using workflow templates. This you take when you want to map existing processes which come every day or every second day, like incoming invoices or contracts or something. And there are 2 ways to get the workflow templates. One way is you make it for yourself. So you look the process in the company and then you make a workflow template. The second is you use the workflow templates which come with our business solutions. So what goals have we achieved here? We can distribute tasks even if the employees and the colleagues sit in their home office on their own islands, as we saw last week. And we can make sure that everybody knows what to do. We can make sure that the task is completed in time, because we can with our escalation management ensure that the tasks are completed when they have to be completed. We can configure email notifications. You can configure the email notification in I think 4 ways. You have 4 options for your email notification. One is I want to get an email notification when I get a new task in my tasks section. I want to get an email notification when there's something changes in the My ELO section, and you get an email notification when something changes on a document that you have created or that you follow. And you can turn it off as well. So we can make sure that that we collaborate better, even when we sit in the home office. Everybody has the same level of information, and it's traceable. We have an up-to-date overview when we start our clients. So the first thing that I do in the morning, I start my ELO client or my ELO app on the smartphone and look in the My ELO section where I see what has happened since the last time I logged in. And as I said, it stays traceable. You are able to track at any time who changed what and when. So you don't have the problem to, oh, where's my PowerPoint presentation? Is it in my inbox or my Dropbox or something? You know where it is. You can find it by using the ELO search. And when you found it, you can see, oh, Gerd Baum approved it on 3rd of April at, I don't know the time. So with our tools for better collaboration in ELO, we can meet these goals, and yeah, it works fine. I love the email notification, and I love the My ELO section because there I can see what has happened since the last time. So that were the tools for better collaborating with ELO. There are 2 questions which I want to answer now. Oh, where's my question? My question section has, here it is. One moment. So, 2 questions. The recording, is it possible to see the recording from last week's webinar? Yes, it will be possible. You will get an information when and where you can watch it. Second question, I don't understand where I think the question is if you can get the PowerPoint presentation. I think you will be able to get it, but I don't know the section where to find it. I think it's in the My ELO section. But you will get this information when the PowerPoint is available. So that's from my side. When there are no more questions, then I'm finished, and I want to thank you for your attention. Oh, well, one question came in. Are the surveys a standard tool? Yes, the surveys are a standard tool. They come with the ELO feed, and you can start a survey by selecting a document or a folder. I can show you when the PowerPoint is away. So I'll show it with Sandra Renz. So you can select a folder, and then you can start the survey here. As you can see, in the section create a post. Oops. Zack. I want it back. This button starts the survey. And then you can fill it in. And yeah, that was the last question. And I want to thank you again for your attention.
So, Edgar, thanks a lot for your presentation. Dear ladies and gentlemen, thanks all of you for taking part in this webinar. Thanks for attending. Have a nice day and bye-bye.